Hi, my name is Michael Hannon, and I'll be doing the concentration and solubility lab. So for the first part, I want to obtain a graduated cylinder and a 250 milliliter beaker. Got both right here. I want us to measure out 10 milliliters of deionized water using the graduated cylinder. So we got our deionized water here. We're gonna pour 10 milliliters in our graduated cylinder. Pour a tiny bit more. Oh, that's too much. Trying to get it. There we go, that's good. So we got 10 milliliters of our deionized water, and it wants us to pour the deionized water into our 250 milliliter beaker. So we got a beaker. I'm gonna pour our deionized water in here. Wait for it to kind of feel that bottom. There's like a little bubble, or like a little gap where the water's not going. There we go. So this is the next one is to obtain table salt. So we got our table salt right here. Then it wants us to saturate the deionized water with the table salt. You know the water has been saturated when the salt is seen at the bottom of the beaker. So we're gonna pour table salt in here. There we go. Kind of mix it around to help it kind of saturate a little bit better. Move this out of the way. And I'm just gonna kind of let it sit. So I'm gonna go to the bottom, and then we'll move on while that's kind of working. And it says obtain an Erlenmeyer flask and weigh the Erlenmeyer flask on the mini scale and record the mass. So we got our mini scale right here, and we got our Erlenmeyer flask right here. We're going to turn it on. It's already set on grams, so we just need to put it on. So it weighs 143 grams, or the mass of it is 143 grams. So we're gonna write that down. Flask equals 143 grams. All right. Next, it wants us to what's it called? Place a funnel on top of the Erlenmeyer flask. So we got our funnel right here, just like that. Let me move my mini scale out the way. Okay, it says place a piece of filter paper into the funnel and pour the salt solution into the filter paper. Help it kind of saturate a little bit more. And so then we got our filter paper right here. Place it in just like this. Kind of make it straight just a little bit. There we go. So next it wants us to saturate, or no. Still waiting for our saturation of the table salt and deionized water. Let me see. So yeah, it wants us to pour our salt solution into the filtered paper. And this should allow the solution to pass through the Erlenmeyer flask while stopping the undissolved salt from getting into the Erlenmeyer flask. Kind of help it along just a little bit more. Yeah. Looking like most of the salt's kind of forming up on the bottom here. So we're gonna pour it into our funnel next. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's kind of like a salt layer on the bottom. So we're gonna pour this into here. Okay, so here we go. There we go, we're kind of let it filter out. And then next it wants us to place the Erlenmeyer flask into the sun and allow the water to evaporate, leaving behind the salt. So I think we need to wait till it's done kind of dripping out here. For at least most of the water gets passed through our filter. Antonio, go. Go, go, go. Yep, so it looks like most of our, or pretty much all, no more water is coming through. So this should allow the solution, or no more of the salt and water solutions coming through. Okay, so we're gonna take our filter and our, it's filled with undissolved salt. You can kind of see, let me grab the camera to show y'all. You kind of see how there's a little bit of that undissolved salt in there. And so, yep, I'm assuming we'll just to throw this away, right? Yeah. So throw our undissolved salt away. And we'll clean out our beaker. So for the next part, he wants us to go put this out in the sun. So I'm gonna go put it out in the sun, and I'll be back whenever our water is evaporated. Alright, this is me back after a couple days of letting our water and salt solution, or letting the water evaporate from outside, and then this is what I got. This is our salt left. You can see all the water's been evaporating. We just got our salt. So next it wants us to place the Erlenmeyer flask out of the sun and allow the water wait, take a couple days. Okay, now it wants us to weigh the Erlenmeyer flask with the salt inside and then record the mass. So we got our thing right here. One thing to note, it only has like the one number. There's no, oh, is it not gonna settle? It only has, there's no decimals, it's just one number straight up. So that's what it's gonna look like. So we got our Erlenmeyer flask with the salt in it, and it weighs 145 grams. Let me write that down. Flask and salt equals 145 grams. And then I hope that, I mean, basically that gives us the mass of the salt, because the flask is 143 grams and the salt is 2 grams. So the mass of the mass of the flask is 143 grams. The mass of the flask and the salt is 145 grams. You subtract the two from each other, you get 2 grams. That means the salt weighs 2 grams. So the next one wants us to determine the mass percent of the salt dissolved in the saturated salt solution. So to find the mass percent, you have to, it's mass of the solute, which is the salt, over the mass of the solution, which is the salt and the water, times 100. So we know our mass of the salt is 2 grams. And the mass of the solution we can find by adding the mass of the salt plus the mass of the water. So, and we know the mass of the water out because we measured it. Yeah, we measured earlier. It says measure out 10 grams. So we know there's 10 milligrams of water, and I looked up 1 milligram is roughly equal to 1 gram. I mean, 1 milliliter is equal to 1 gram. So we know that our mass of the solution, the mass of the water is 10 grams. So to find the mass percent, we do 2, because that's the mass of the solute, which is salt, over 12, because that's the mass of the solution, times 100. Let's plug that in our calculator. 2 divided by 12 times 100 is 16.66666, like repeating. So if we round that, it'd be 16.67%. So that's our mass percent of our salt dissolved in the saturated water solution. Dude, stop, Antonio. All right. Next we have, it wants us to determine the moles of the salt dissolved in the saturated water or the saturated salt solution. So to find the mole, we have to look at how much 1 mole equals how many grams of salt, which is sodium chloride or chlorine, how much equals 1 mole. So we do that by adding our masses of the sodium and chlorine. So the mass of sodium is 22.990, and the mass of chlorine is 35.45. You add this out, so which is 58.44. So 1 mole of salt is equal to 58.44 grams. And to find the moles of the salt that we have here, which is 2 grams, we're gonna use our formula, which would be 2 times 1 over 58.44. So we do that out because the grams will cancel, so it's 2 divided by 58.44, and we get this great big long number. But if we round it, it'd be 0.034. So that's our moles of the salt in our solution. Yeah, 0.034. And then next it wants us to determine the molarity of the salt solution. So to find the molarity, it's the moles of the solute, which is salt, over liters of the solution. So we know We know our moles of the salt, of our solute right here, is 0.034. Now we have to determine the liters of the solution. So to do that, you know how many milliliters are in the solution, which is 12. And so if we move our decimal over 3 places, it would be 0.123. Is it 3 or 2? I'm pretty sure it's, yeah, 3. So it'd be 0.012. So the liters of our solution is 0.012. And so we can punch this in on our calculator. So it's 0.034 divided by 0.012. And that equals 2.83 repeating. So we'll do 2.83. And that equals 2.83. Just make sure I did it right. Divided by 0.012. Yep. And that would be our molarity of our salt solution. Okay. Now that that's done with, it wants us to, we're gonna move on to the making starch solution. So I think we're gonna need our, I actually don't think we need our Meyer flask. We're gonna use our beaker. It wants to measure out 1 gram of starch using the mini scale. First, we're gonna measure our thing. We want to get this as accurate as possible. So it's 44. Let's remember that. 44 grams. I got our starch here. Okay. You can measure it by placing the beaker on the scale and zeroing out the mini scale, and measure out 1 gram of starch into the beaker. So here we go. We got our beaker on the scale. So it's at 44 right now, so we're gonna wait till it gets to 45. Okay, that's definitely like way too much. Still way too much. Oh, we're getting closer, we're getting closer. It's at 50 grams right now, so we're 5 grams over our limit. We're 3 grams over our limit, we're almost there. We're 2 grams over. There we go. Let me just make sure I got everything down. Use a pen or pencil here to get it off, kind of off the walls a little bit. Yep, there we go. So we got 1 gram of our starch. So next, obtain an aromine flask and place it on our scale. We gotta clean it out first. We've got a bunch of the salt. Let me dry up the inside real quick. So once it's to obtain our own files, place it on a meter scale to zero out your balance. We know it weighs 143. Is there even a point to write that down? I already have it written down. So it says measure out 99 grams of deionized water by pouring the deionized water into the erlenmeyer flask. So I'm gonna do 143 plus 99. So we're gonna get to 242 grams on our scale to measure out 99 grams here. Nope, we're not there, like halfway there. We're just a bit over. We're at 253. $248. $246. Here you go. 242. So we're at 99 grams of our what? I'll just leave this out actually. Might need it again. Deionized water. And then it says transfer the deionized water into the beaker and stir until all of the starch has been dissolved. So let me make sure I got everything off the walls. What do I stir with? I'm gonna use some we ingest. Yeah, I guess I'll stir with like a pan hose. Okay. So once it's transferred deionized water into the beaker and stir until all this all the solution will be 1% starch. That makes sense. Oh, let me just make sure. Now we're gonna stir. Make sure I get it off all the walls and stuff. I believe all of the starch has been dissolved. I don't see any clumping up on the bottom. Okay. Antonio, get down. What are you doing? Get down. Whoops. This guy, man. Then next it wants us to dry out our Erlenmeyer flask and place onto the mini scale. Oh, never mind. I was reading the wrong thing. Dry out the flask from step 16 and measure out 3 grams of starch into your Erlenmeyer flask using the mini scale. Oh yeah, we're gonna first make sure the majority of our thing is dry. Make sure. Okay. Throw that away. Next one wants us to measure out 3 grams of our starch in our Erlenmeyer flask. We're gonna plop that on there. Turn it on. I'll use the funnel for this part. Is say we need a funnel for a different thing. Okay. Okay. 3 things of starch, or 3 grams. Yeah. There we go. Okay. It was acting all weird for a second. So we know it weighs 143, so we got to get to 146. There we go. We're at 146. Sure, I'll clean off my funnel. here. Oh, gotta stir that a little bit more. Anyway, get out, dude. What are you doing? Alright. So now that we got our 3 grams of starch in the Erlenmeyer flask, wants to measure out 97 milligrams of deionized water. So our thing goes up to 50, so we gotta do a little bit of math here. And let me stir this just a little bit more. Okay, well that's kind of doing that. We're gonna measure out. Once we measure out 97 milliliters of deionized water. And this is transfer deionized water into the Erlenmeyer flask and stir. Okay. I'm gonna do this over the sink. Oh, that is actually perfect. Okay, so here's 50. We're gonna put in here. Now we need 47. 47? Yep, 47. We're about 43 right now. Dang, 47. Put that in our... There we go, move that in there. I think we're gonna use a straw to stir this one. Oh gosh, my cat loves straws. He's getting all hype. Here we go. stir and make sure that they're both pretty much dissolved in their states. Sorry. Alright. We'll set this aside for now. So it wants us to, by this step, show 1% starch solution and the other 3% starch solution. It says obtain a piece of dialysis tubing. Open the dialysis tubing. Sometimes it may be hard to open. Kind of like a plastic bag in the produce section of the grocery store, but you must keep at it. So here we go. I have no idea how to use this. Okay, what do I do? Okay. No, Antonio. Obtain a piece of dialysis tubing. Open the dialysis tubing. Close one end of the dialysis tubing by twisting. Pour 20 milliliters of the 1% starch. What? This is the dialysis tubing, right? I have no idea how to use this, so I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It was what how big is a piece? Does it just stop, or does it just keep going on forever? I don't know how to use this. I'll be right back, y'all. Welcome back. It's been 3 days. I finished the dialysis tubing part. It took me a while to get it open, but I put the 1% starch solution in it, and then I poured the 3% starch solution in the beaker, and I put the dialysis tube, or I tied it, and then I put it in. So we're gonna look at our results now, because I've been letting it sit for 3 days in our thing. Ooh, I had to put do not touch. And we'll take this off. Let me grab my paper so I can write down stuff. Got my paper with all my information on it from a couple days ago. So now we're gonna open or remove the cup from the beaker, remove the dialysis tubing. It also says we need a scale, so let me get that ready. Ooh. Here we go. So I'm gonna remove this. Whoa! Wow, okay, so a good portion of it is no longer in here. It's all in our 3% starch solution. So this was completely filled up a couple days ago, like completely filled up to the top. This was 20 milligrams or milliliters in here. So now we're gonna see how much it weighs now. Just kind of dry it off. I don't want to get my scale all dirty. That's crazy though. Yeah, like it was like completely filled up. Now it's like a little less. Okay, here we go. 20 minutes. Okay, here we go. So it weighed 20, and now it weighs 14. Wow. Okay. According to mass, it weighs 14 grams. Dialysis tube equals 14 grams. So there you go. Okay, record any other observations. So there's more fluid in here. Actually, we can see how much is in here because it said 30 milliliters. This was 30 milliliters before. How much is it now? Oh, because how much was 44? 44. Ah, my back. What's it? 44 grams? 44 grams plus 30. What's that? So yeah, there's more water in here now, inside of our beaker. More water in beaker. There's less water in tube, in our dialysis tube. Let's see. You can see some of the starch in the bottom. You can see some. Let me erase that. You can see like starch at the bottom. You can see starch at the bottom, and yeah, pretty much that's it. That's all I can pretty much see. That's cool. That's actually really cool. Because it was completely filled up, and now it's like this much is kind of left from my finger up. So yeah, there you go. That has been the concentration solubility lab.